Oh, here's a good one. How do I get my husband to be more romantic? Fellas, listen up. Coming at you.
I'm just going to have to give this to you from my perspective, from my point of view. I used to be in construction, and I would work all day, and I would come home, and I would just be ripped, and especially depending on what I was doing. And so I'd be framing all day, or if I was doing concrete all day, I would come home and I would just be radically tired. And my wife would want to have a romantic night, and there were times when I walked in and I saw food on the coffee table in front of the fireplace and candles and that kind of thing, and I'm filthy, and I'm just filthy, and I'm dead tired, and I walk in the door and I just go, try not to show it, but it's like I did not want to be involved in that. And one of the things, and my wife and I talked about that, because she could see that I'm not good at hiding things on my face, and she could see that I wasn't excited about it. And so what she had this thing in her mind that I was going to come in and I was going to be all excited. I was going to sweep her off her feet. She had this whole scenario built up in her mind, and then I would show up and I would wreck the scenario. And so one of the things that we talked about as far as taking care of that kind of situation is that she would let me know before I left for work, hey, let's have a romantic evening tonight. And so then what I'm doing is all during work, because I want to please my wife. And what I'm doing is all during work. No matter what I'm doing, I'm prepping myself for the fact that I'm going to come home and we're going to be romantic, and we're going to sit there by the fire and all the stuff that ends up happening with that. And that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about romance. I'm not just talking about physical relationship. It's all about the just cuddling and that kind of thing. And so I would gear myself up for it because she warned me about it. And so if you want to do something that's going to help your husband be more romantic, number one, you got to understand that most guys, they're just really not built that way because they already have you. They were built that way before they had you, but guys are designed to hunt, and once they get what they're hunting for, they've got it. And so they're not thinking about, you use romance to get a woman to want you, but once you've got her, then a lot of times the romance goes out the door. And I'm not justifying that. I'm telling you that's how he's bent. And so you got to understand that you're dealing with somebody who's different than you. And so if you've got a husband who wants to please you, he wants to do things like that for you. And you can do things that will help him. And that is specifically what was going on with my wife. She was trying to do things that would help me. And so instead of demanding that I think of and come up with, without her telling me something to do that's romantic, what she would do is she would plan it for us, and she started off surprising me, and the timing just wasn't good sometimes. And so we ended up doing things that would help that take place. And so she said, just saying to me, let's have a romantic evening tonight. I would know, okay, when I get home, then there's expectations, and I love you, and so I'm going to give you the expectations. That stuff's going to take place. I would bring things home with me because of that, that kind of stuff, and do things that way. And I'm not just a troglodyte, caveman. There've been, there are things that I do for my wife. I like to surprise her unexpectedly. One of the things I like to do is, when you go to the grocery store, I don't go to the grocery store often, but anytime that I go to the grocery store, they always have the flowers on the end of the checkout stand. And anytime I go to the grocery store, I grab those flowers, and it's worth the cost I grab the flowers and I, find a decent bouquet and I bring it home to my wife and I sneak it in and I lay it on the table someplace. And she comes in and goes, "Oh, somebody got me flowers." And I'm like, "Oh, I wonder who it could be," that kind of thing. She loves that kind of stuff. And sometimes I think she sends me to the store on purpose so that I'll come home with flowers. But I try to pay attention to those kinds of things. Yeah. And I would kind of leave it there. Otherwise, I'd just be praying for your husband. A lot of talking with him about this. I think that you should have a talk with him, but a lot of pointed talking with him about this stuff is going to be things that can cause problems in the sense that he's going to feel inadequate and he's going to feel like he can't do anything to please you, and that kind of stuff. And I would pray about it. Have some conversations with him. Say, hey, and come up with a romantic evening yourself. Warning him, come up with a romantic evening yourself. I'm just telling you, this is all stuff that worked with me, and I'm not Mr. Romance. And then what can happen from that is the guy will get more spontaneous. I've done some things over the years that my wife really liked. And so when we first got married, our first year of marriage, I didn't have enough money to get her a Valentine's card. And so, we'd already been doing some of this stuff as far as having evenings alone together. I didn't have enough money to get her a Valentine's card. And so I went out in the garage. We were in a rented house. I went out in the garage right before we moved in. They had painted the house. There was still paint sitting there. And there was also a can of red spray paint. And so I went in the living room, and over the top of the fireplace, I painted a big red heart and put in it, "Steve loves Bobby." And that was her Valentine present that year. And that was a big hit. It was awesome. And then later on, I came in with the paint, and it was matching paint, and I was able to cover it up and stuff like that. I didn't just tag the the owner's house and stuff, but things like that. And a lot of that happened because my wife. It wasn't an adversarial type of thing. As far as the romance goes, it was a thoughtful type of thing. And so my wife was thoughtful towards me, and so I wanted to be thoughtful towards her. So that's the way I go. Pray first, ask God to be working on the guy's heart, and there are some things that you can do to promote that.
And if you're a guy, don't stop hunting.
Yeah. That's one of the things I tell the guys, don't stop hunting. You gotta, ladies have needs. And they need security, and they need romance, and they need that kind of thing. And guys, and that's painting with a broad brush, but guys generally, it's like I told you I loved you last week. Nothing's changed. If it does change, I'll let you know. You can have guys that are like that, and that's not going to be good enough.